All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. What American slavery created? Since this country was built on first anarchy, murder, um, war, biological warfare to get rid of the natives, to annex this country. Same way Australia was taken, basically. But this country was built on slavery. And this is the thing about what slavery did to America that I just wanted to speak on. See, ever since slavery ended, people have been trying to figure out ways to replace it with something else. That's where, you know, child labor came from. That's where, no health benefits in the beginning, and the unionization comes from. That's where, open your borders and bring your sick, bring your poor, bring your, because for that's where current immigration is. Immigration years ago, when people were getting on Mexicans, right? They come in the country stealing our jobs. That's what outsourcing is about. They're going over there and getting cheap labor. Because this country wasn't really built by white people, white people never knew how to actually facilitate this country's growth. I'll tell you why I say that. I know some people gonna trip. Whatever, I don't care. This country was built on the labor of slavery. Everybody benefited from that labor. When that time was over, the skilled workers of America were black, who had to teach everybody else how to not only build but maintain these things that they had been building through slavery, north, south, east, and west. Because for all those people who act like, oh, slavery was just in, now you full of shit. Now, because of these things, the same people that would be considered the slave owners are the same white people who were the union people, who weren't slave owners, who, excuse me, learned how to build buildings and carpentry and build ships, and anybody could dig ditches, but um, create these monuments and create cities and all that kind of stuff, right? And be the ones to be foremans and bring wood from this place to this place and all that other good stuff. When they learn these from these black men in particular, then, oh, I got all the information I needed, get rid of them. But what they never really replaced was their work ethic. So that's why you see a lot of you've always seen a lot of workers of different, they'd be white in the beginning and they have to get a diverse background. AKA that means these white dudes ain't gonna work. Put them in middle management, put them in upper management. Because why? Because they're smarter than ever. No, because they're white and white people look out for white people, and these white people don't work. Same thing goes to with creation of things. That's why I said this country may have been built, was built by us, but people say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" But it was taken credit for by white people. See, white people normally take credit for shit. They don't necessarily create shit, but they will take credit for it. And for all the people, oh, well, we created this, we created that. A lot of shit y'all say y'all created has a backstory, and the backstory usually has somebody that doesn't look white. And even when a white person creates something, what does another white person try to do? Steal it and take credit for it. It's just how it's always been going. This is just how it goes. But the thing about what I'm saying is, all of this anger sometimes and racism and people's financial situations and woes and the level of festivity growing in this country is because this country never was able to replace the work ethic and profits from its slave history culture. And you see that today. People riding you on your job. You see they ride certain people to death. Usually, like at my job, people used to make this joke. They like their work like they like their coffee, black no cream, because then you know it's gonna get done. See, other people when they just fuck up and don't do their fucking jobs, that's just who they are. I mean, you can't tell them anything. It's not gonna change anything. But we expect you to work. You're supposed to come here and you're supposed to lift these buildings, with one finger and leap tall buildings in a single bound. No. You need to get your shit together. Right. That's part of the outsourcing. Cheap labor. That's part of the immigrant. People who's messing with Mexicans. Cheap labor. Paying these guys under the table and then fuck out of here. It's the cheapest way you could do it, right? Because they wouldn't pay people who were certified, skilled, and had a certain price range that you had to pay them at. Which also goes to show you that if that's the case, all of these certifications and schooling and you have to get the blessing of this particular person and that particular person to say you're good enough for this. That shit ain't really real. It goes out the window. That's just another hustle. But since you can't, but I think America's at a crossroads now because the one thing that America never, I would say white America never had to do was be ingenuity. Necessity is the mother of invention. You never needed anything. You really never had a necessity because all the people that were working to build this country were the ones that needed to be more efficient doing it so they don't die in the process. So it's that time to, now that China's got this country financially by the balls and we're slowly imploding from anarchist mindsets from within because everything is good, everything is legal, everything is okay. Everything is not that bad, and everything is that bad. And, the sky is falling, but hey, I got a bomb to blow other people up if you think, that type of shit. It creates a whole new dynamic. And because, the resurgence of all the racism that occurred, that is the resurgence of the levels of racism that occurred since Barack Obama was elected president and re-elected. The funny thing about it is, even with these people who want to incite race wars and burn churches and all that other shit, he's going to be out of the office not too long from now. So what would this race war be about? Maybe this race war would be about the same thing I've been talking about this whole time. Maybe there's a certain group of white folks who cannot figure out the way to get themselves out of poverty, and the only option that they really know that works for white people like themselves is slavery. It's the only way they can be as rich as they want. That's the only way they can be as powerful as they want. It's the only way they can have sex with women that they want because they can rape women but then and get away with it and whatever. That's the only viable option for them. They can't figure out ways to make money and live free in a quote-unquote free country that was built for them to live free in. They can't maneuver. They can't, because they've been dealing in drug dealer criminal culture forever and a day. What they thought they could do was, take that mentality against people who are also drug dealers and killers. Like, they're not gonna let you get away with it because you're not just gonna stand there stoic like I'm white, so I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. No, they're gonna chop you down. So the only thing you got left is what? well, after since the child labor didn't work, the child labor didn't work, women's labor didn't work, uh, integration didn't work because it hasn't worked. Um, who am I missing? The ununion skilled labor didn't work. Outsourcing, corporations to say it worked for them, but for them it didn't work, and paying people under the table didn't work, and crime didn't work. So, you know, in my opinion, this is the reason why you see all the things you're seeing, because America never addressed the problem. Even prison, the prison industrial complex isn't working. You know why it's not working? Because truthfully speaking, they're purposely locking brothers like me up for free labor, because that's the only way slavery is quote unquote legal in this country. But they can't find us doing the type of shit that they don't want to lock up their own for. You know what I mean? That was the thing about those drug laws back in the day. How can this much of crack cocaine get you the same amount of time as this much of powder cocaine? That's the issue. It was for a reason. They set it that way for a reason, because they were supposed to not circumvent, but serve is not surplus. Anywho, we were supposed to be the jail slave labor to pad the numbers in the economy for these nice white people who can do things, so they can get their cars and license plates and buy their rugs and fine clothes and watches and stuff like that. And all of that stuff didn't happen in the way that people thought, because ultimately, though we bought into some of this crime life, we didn't buy into it into the mass way that people think. Think about it. Turn on any hip hop station, wherever you at, turn on your hip hop station. And I'm not where you at, probably. You're gonna hear a lot of criminal-minded music. If you listen to the commercials, you're gonna hear commercials maybe about lawyers, maybe about bail bondsmen, maybe about some old ignorant ratchet bullshit. Drinking and driving. You might get a DUI. You'll go to jail type shit, because they're trying to not just funnel you in there with the music they play, but advertise to the legal component of America that once you listen to this music and it's all in your head and you get reckless, gonna lock that ass up. But if you got the money, you may be able to get out, type shit. And you don't hear that on an R&B station. You don't hear that. Of course you don't hear that on a rock station. Of course you don't hear that on a gospel station. Of course you don't hear that on a country station. It's done that way for a reason. But the fact that we're not in the mass numbers that people would like us to be in order to it's raining hard, to subsidize their lifestyle with our slave labor, it's throwing the country in a tailspin, especially when we owe trillions of dollars to China. It's cool with a surplus, but not in a deficit. That's just my thoughts about it. Peace.